Welcome once again, everyone. This is Publius Virgilius Maro, and today we will be discussing Federalist paper for Alberta number 4, a letter to address the rights of First Nations people of Alberta to the people of Alberta. This is a topic many of you will find uncomfortable. I do not. The First Nations deserve a voice at the table of our society of the social compact we are attempting to establish in the state of Alberta. First Nations of Alberta have never been respected, being given an equal voice or true power of their treaty lands. The record of the Canadian federal government is appalling. Broken promise after broken promise, lies, half-truths, and election promises that are nothing more than that. How many people truly know how badly the First Nations of Alberta and all of Canada have been treated? Only the people themselves can answer, but I can shed light on facts that most people are not aware of. We all know about residential schools and the destruction of culture. What of the overt control and disregard? First Nations people could not vote federally until 1967. Before this, they could not leave the lands allotted to them unless they were given a pass by an Indian agent. There is so much more I could say, but it gives you an idea of how they were stomped into the ground, disrespected, and treaty promises unfulfilled. Now, many non-native people may ask, why would you want to stay in such a place? If you had the chance, why not leave for something better? The answer is simple: fear. The First Nations of Alberta have been treated so badly, so disrespectfully, and with such an utter disregard and contempt that they do not believe it will be any better under any government. They fear losing their treaty rights so hard fought for, even though it makes them dependent on the federal government, that the devil you know is better than the one you don't. I can honestly say that I personally understand this in my own life, culturally and in my personal life. I may not be a First Nations person, but I know the feeling of looked down upon for who and what I am. Not the right kind of white, but that is a story for another time. I know the mistrust, the spirit that it will never get any better. But I have a solution to this. If First Nations people were to join the rest of Alberta as a 51st state, they would automatically keep their treaty rights. Under international law, because the treaties were signed in a territory before it became a part of Canada, it would move to the state. There is no if, ands, or buts. It is automatic. International law also dictates that they have a seat at the bargaining table. They will finally have an equal voice that must be considered, bargained with in good faith, in legally binding agreements. The First Nations people could keep the treaties or negotiate for better ones. They could have a say on their own land with no federal state interference. They could control their own destiny and be an equal partner in building a new social compact, one the world has never seen, where the Native people, the First Nations, have real political and economic power. In the United States, the so-called Indian New Deal Act of 1934 proactively gives the First Nations the power to dictate what is done with their own lands. They can police and govern themselves like their own state. There are even provisions where the federal government can purchase land and declare it reserve land, expanding their influence. And what about socially? I believe that if Alberta is to be a 51st state, that we should not be forced to learn French, but First Nations languages should be an option for all school-age children. These are the first peoples of Alberta, and they deserve to be seen and acknowledged as much. How much knowledge has been lost or is about to be lost because of past mistakes? We can correct that. We can help preserve this culture, bring it into the foundation of Alberta where it belongs, and truly heal the divide between our First Nations brethren. To the First Nations people of Alberta, you have been wronged. I cannot fix the past, but what I can do is show you a better way, a path to true freedom and prosperity where no one dictates what you can and cannot do on your own land. I'm no politician or rich man, just a man who knows how it feels to be disrespected, to feel powerless, and lose all hope of being treated like a human being. I will stand with you. I will fight for you, and I will show you the way to a better life where you are treated with dignity and respect, not just legally, but in the social compact of the state of Alberta, where the society is built with you, not against you, where you have a voice, where you will be heard, where you are truly free. I know you were scared. Possibly do not believe or trust me. I understand. Truly, I do. I know I ask a lot. I ask you to take my hand and stand with me, brothers and sisters, and live in a land where our rights are God given, where your people and all the people of Alberta can flourish as equals, where your voice, your concerns, and your rights are respected. To ponder on this, I leave you with this quotation to truly think about. To the First Nations of Alberta, I will fight as hard for you as everyone else because you deserve that respect, because you were born free, and because you are my fellow Albertans. If any First Nations would like a dialogue with me, I look forward to it and discussing our future together. Things which do not grow and change are dead things. By Louise Erdrich. Be not afraid. I am with you. Virgil.